evening, ladies and gentlemen. For this special podcast, we have a distinguished gentleman with us. He is the Assistant Director, Student Services, Assistant Professor and UG Program Lead at Alliance University. Welcome, Dr. Abhishek sir.
Thank you so much, Jess. Thank you for having me on your podcast. Pleasure is mine.
Okay, so we have with us a well-accomplished gentleman, an author, a young professor. So, as a student transitioning into academic excellence in pursuit of transforming a generation, what inspired you to move into this pursuit of excellence in education?
Wow. Well, thank you so much for those kind words. Shreyas, when I was 3 years old, I saw my teacher coming into class. I still remember her name. I was in LKG. Her name is Miss Mary. She came into class and she started basics. It was not even ABC. It was very, very basic. I liked the way she carried herself. Right? So that was possibly the first time I thought to myself that I want to be a teacher. And then I started, teaching my parents, tutoring my family. Just these acts that a child would do. But nobody took me seriously back then. It was again in grade 8 that I had an English teacher called Maya. I still remember. She's one of the best teachers that I've had till date. She came to class and said, "What do you want to become?" And I said, "Ma'am, I want to be a teacher." Everybody laughed. People said, "Engineer, doctor." Kids can be very beautiful. She said, "This is an answer that I never heard all these years. I will groom you to be a teacher." And then I used to hang around with her, assistant correcting papers and all that. I loved the process. And then again, life moves on. You start pursuing your undergrad. After my postgrad, I told my family that, I want to be a teacher. I'll choose the higher education. And so it started with that. So that's what inspired me to be a teacher. And the last 10 years, I think I've been getting inspired by my students. I think when you go into a class, especially in UG class, I teach both MBA and BBA, but the kind of attention and love you get from a BBA class is just mind-blowing. So just seeing them grow is something that keeps me wanting to better myself in this profession. That's how I look at it.
Great. And this is Miss Mary ma'am from Abhishek.
Yes, and Maya ma'am from Jain International. So two very accomplished teachers who I hold very close to my heart.
Yes, I can share with you that Mary ma'am was also my kindergarten teacher. Her style of teaching at Abhishek is a way soothing.
Very true.
And that grooming at a young age has an impact for your years to come.
Very true. I think the world is such a small place, right?
Yes, who knew?
Exactly.
And I'm sure your schooling at Abhishek and Jain was an impact for your teaching life.
Definitely, Abhishek and Vidyashar and Jain International and Christ. I have kind of traveled across many schools, but I think I have learned the max in Bishops because that's where my foundation years took place. So I think that's a lot of credit to go to Bishops.
Yes, and you also moved into international pursuit of academic pursuit at Aston.
Yes, I did my undergrad in the UK because I think my mom never took me seriously. She thought I'm going to be, not a great student in India, so she decided to put me in the UK. I loved the experience there. But I think that again was a very, very, very big cultural shock because in India you're taught in a certain way, in UK you're left to your own, each to their own. But I think that taught me how to be independent, that taught me how to research, that taught me how to avoid plagiarism. So those things I have to definitely give a lot of credit to.
So you have a strong foundation in education, the first 25 years of your life, and what specifically you chose in the field of management and business, apart from so many other fields in discipline in education?
See, to be honest, I think business and entrepreneurship always excited me. I think because unlike any other subject, you have science, you have maths, you have humanities, they're all facts given to you and you have to stick to a certain level of basic facts. Business, that is not the case. You get to creatively design as much as you want. You get to pitch your idea, you get to test your idea. I think that is what excited me, and that is why I pursued the business management education.
So that practical approach of seeing daily life in understanding these concepts is really fantastic.
100%. I think to be able to, have an idea, brainstorm an idea, conceptualize it, and then make money of it was very excellent.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we also have with us a very humble gentleman who has also received awards at the international stature. So what was that like?
Well, I think I've been very fortunate and lucky. I've got a few awards. I normally don't speak about that, but I think I have authored a lot of books and papers in the area of emotional intelligence, and it is, with academics, the relationship between emotional intelligence and academic performance of school students, university students. That did fetch me a few awards, and I think I have a lot of gratitude to my PhD guide, Dr. Uma Warrior, for guiding me. So I think a lot of my awards in terms of research, the credit should go.
Okay. So there's a lot of narrative that's going around the globe, not only in this side of Asia, but even in the Western Hemisphere, where we see that education is seen as a narrative of where it should be more freelance. And I'm sure we both can agree that there's this very systematic approach to learning. And we can see that you are in the mid of transition of both a bit of traditional and innovative methods of being using technologies as a tool to understand education. What are the challenges we can see the next generation looking at a bit of tradition, a bit of new tools out there?
Well, so to answer this question, I think I use the approach called as 3D approach, especially when I go to my MBA classes. Why I'm telling this is because I think I understand that knowledge, you have to have a lot of autonomy to gain knowledge. But at the same time, if you do not structure it, then I don't think you will execute the autonomy in the right manner. So when I design my DSAs for the audiences during semester assessment, my plan is, keep it as open as possible, but give them a framework. So for example, I teach a subject called corporate communication. I told them you can go ahead and do a podcast. I did not restrict them. I just gave them the podcast. Whether they want to do it over a phone, whether they want to do it over a camera, whether they want to interview a celebrity, a friend, their choice. But this is giving them autonomy, but yet putting a structure. So I know that I'm going to mark that for 20 marks. Just the assignment brief is podcast. This is how possibly you can take step by step. But if you just tell that there are no exams, you study whichever course you want, after a point, I don't think you can structure it. Structure is extremely important, especially in a country like India. So I think as much as the tools, the modernization, the opportunities are great, we should always know how to mainstream that with having a process in place.
Great. So with the touch of academic, also for the last 10 years you've been a professor and you have accomplished your PhD and in the field of management. So what future are you looking at in the realm of teaching that you can expect?
Well, see, there are two ways of this. One is if you're looking at your career growth. So I'm an assistant professor. I think just a matter of a few months that I will be promoted to be an associate professor, and then after a few years, professor. That's your mainstream academic growth. Then comes administrative growth. Right, I'm an assistant director and program lead. So possibly next step should be director. And then, every professor aims of being a vice chancellor by the end of his or her career. That is definitely the aim. All this is in terms of paper, designation, and your academic merit on terms of your job role. But in terms of what you actually do, what I want to do is possibly, teach in such a way that every student wants to come to my class because he or she is going to learn something and not come to attendance. That's one thing that I want to bring. I want to be done with exams. So I want to introduce assessments that happen periodically. We try doing the informative assessments, but bringing that to limelight, making that mainstream. So for example, if I'm teaching a course in international business, I do not want to ask the students what's an export process, import process. I want to take them to a trade company, an exim trade company, and ask him to intern it. And that assessment is what I want to record as an international business work. Things like, to talk about international culture, probably send students, for a 1-week exchange program, ask them to experience, make reports of their experience, and give them the work. So this is what I want, to kind of bring in policies, make changes in policies, and trying to get out. So yeah, I gave you both my perspectives.
Okay. So with this traditional approach, you're also trying to leave a legacy behind. We can try to impact students like in creating a more happier world, a more bolder world, a more stronger world, and trying to modernize not only the future of education, but also impacting lives.
Try my best.
It's such a blessing to have you with us in this podcast. But in the line of being a young author, what inspires you to write? And you've written more. I witnessed release 3 of his books, and I'm sure there's more in line. So, what is an inspiration to have written and write and remove this writer's block from everyone's mind?
So, to be honest, whenever I used to read textbooks, I found it extremely academic. The context was very, very complicated. The content was very complicated. And I realized that, if I have to reach out to a first year undergraduate student, I cannot use such big terms. So what I started simplifying concepts and adding my own perspectives to it. That's how I started writing. So the recent book that I wrote was Strategic Insights that we had the launch. This is nothing but, basically simplifying cases. At an MBA level, 4th semester, you have a subject called strategic management. They have to read cases of 40 pages, 50 pages. It doesn't make sense. So I want to condense that 40, 50 pages into 1 or 2 paragraphs. And like that, I did about 200 cases, condensed them into 1 or 2 paragraphs, in some cases a page. And this way, the student is able to consume as many cases, getting different perspectives without straining or without having to read, thousands of pages. So every book I write has some kind of agenda. So Strategic Insights, recent book, this was my agenda.
So you write to learn and write to simplify readers' minds.
100%. I keep learning, but I know that after a point, I was not able to digest certain content, certain abstracts. So what I did is I had to put in a lot of effort to get those concepts simplified. I had to run behind professors. I don't want my students to run behind anyone. So I want to simplify concepts so that they can apply it. That's another thing in academics. They normally like to complicate everything. I, on the contrary, want to simplify everything. Learn what you can apply. Right? Don't apply whatever you learn. Learn what you can apply. And that is a huge difference that I think we bring into today's education.
So this mindset requires, I think, years of reading, years of experience, years of training to be a professor. But there's also this mindset takes this foundation of roots that you have stood with other leaders who have shaped you reach this level of thinking and this mindset. So if you would like to give credit or give due acknowledgement to those individuals, those leadership styles, I think now would be a great opportunity.
2 people that I want to thank that I've learned a lot of leadership from. One is Dr. Dinesh Nilkar. He's the Pro Vice Chancellor of Jain University. He was the director when I worked at Jain. One thing about Sir is he would simplify every task with T. He'll tell you basics. And he says he has certain expectations and very, very transparent. And I've seen the way he deals with students, the way he deals with faculty, the way he deals with. So my administrative skills, he's somebody I have learned a lot from. I'm still in touch with him. Absolutely love the gentleman. The next leader who's inspired me is Dr. Ray Titan, our Pro Vice Chancellor, and Dean. Whenever I spend time with Ray Sir, he's like an encyclopedia, right? His words of wisdom, and every time I have a problem, he's the first person I go to talk to, sir. And I always come out of that cabin with a smile, right? Ray Sir's leadership is very, very transformative, right? When I just joined Alliance, right? He trusted me and made me the program lead and gave me all the autonomy to be able to conduct events, programs. That shows the kind of trust that he has. And he judges people. So he knows I'm good at events, I'm good at fests. He gave that to me. He was able to judge others. So how to handle faculty, how to respect faculty, and how to make faculty respect you is something I learned from Ray Sir. So business skills, administrative skills from Ray Sir, faculty skills, academic skills, communication skills from Ray Sir. 2 leaders I absolutely love, and I know that they are going to be my mentor throughout my career no matter what.
Okay. And with this icing on the cake, life is a mixture of bittersweet stories. Would you like to share a story which shaped your thinking process and it was a success story that's still stuck in your mind to inspire your future movements?
Okay, I'm going to keep it very short because I know that we are already boring the audience. But let me tell you this much. My career has been, my life itself has been full of ups and downs. It's been a roller coaster ride. I've had the courage to take decisions that made sense to me. I'll give you an example. Normally people do UG in India and PG abroad. Right? I did it the other way. The reason I did this is because I realized that if I have to teach in India, I need to be adjusted to the Indian education system. So I got my UK, bachelor's degree. I could have pursued my master's there, but I decided to come back. One decision everybody criticized back then, but today that is why I was able to clear my UGC KSET exam, get into PhD quickly because I knew the Indian education system. So that was a big risk. Leaving a great MNC, good pay package for an assistant professorship, which was not even 1/3 of the salary back then. Today I'm earning much more than my colleagues from corporates. Again, paid. So I've taken risks. Right? And no matter what, even if I failed at those attempts, right, I would always know that I'm doing something that gives me happiness. So I would like to tell the audience, not a story, but whenever you're doing something, right, do things that keep you happy. And everything that keeps you happy is fine. But remember, everything that keeps you happy has consequences. If you're able to face those consequences, go ahead and do it. If not, refrain from it. If you understand this, life will be smooth. So it's not a story, it's like a message. All those 3 decisions I spoke about, right, added a lot of value. Today, I'm able to sleep in peace because I know the decisions are mine and the success is mine.
So, with no regrets, with happiness, and with a touch of proactiveness, you have taken decisions that you will not regret and leaving a legacy of Dr. Abhishek. So this has been a thought-provoking conversation. It's also been a conversation that people look back, acknowledging and complimenting your lifestyle into their own lives. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Shreyas. Thank you for having me on board. It was an absolute pleasure, and it kind of took me back to memories that I possibly had, hidden. So thank you.
It's been a pleasure.